Spent too much time in California. Now I got that Rona. Gotta be alone. Staring at my phone. Gotta be alone.
Gotta be alone.
I'm in a silly mood. What if I just started the podcast? What's up? This your boy, dude. Like a hip hop radio. I wish I was a hip hop radio DJ. That'd be awesome. Anyway, I'm Judy. I just got out of the shower. I'm in a silly mood. This is the thealoneaviruspodcast. Yes, it is. Thank you for coming to it. And a lot of changes this time. I'm standing up for the intro. I don't know if you can tell, but I am standing on my feet in my slippers. What else? This makes me feel like I'm doing like a talk show monologue, and I don't want to feel like I'm doing that. But oh yeah, I found out this morning that I'm eligible for an antibody test. I feel like I'm doing jokes right now because I'm standing. So I found out this morning I'm eligible for an antibody test. Yeah, I don't have a punchline, but I did, and I'm thinking about getting it because I would like to know if I was exposed to the virus. I can't break out of this like cadence like I'm doing a joke. I would like to genuinely know if I was ill or, I mean, I was ill, but I would like to know if I was ill with the coronavirus or if I've been exposed to it. I think that would be useful information. So I'm thinking about getting an antibody test. That's new, if I'm so inclined. And yeah, I was thinking about, now I am doing jokes, I think. I'm just in a silly mood. So why, what is with the saying, if you're so inclined? Like, if you're raised at like a 30-degree angle, like now you're going to go do stuff. Like, I didn't feel like going out to the grocery store, but now that I'm so inclined, I think I will. It's not funny, but like, I don't understand the relationship in that word. With that word, you know, if you're at an incline, you're more likely to do stuff. So if you're so inclined, keep listening to this episode. It does get better. Really awesome, fun, exciting guest. This episode is, believe it or not, good. My friend Matt, who is a filmmaker, he and I made a film together. Actually, the first thing I really ever did, and I will always be grateful to Matt for giving me a shot. He was like, hey, do you want to improvise a short film for my student film project? And I was like, yeah, of course I do. So I'm going to link to that on YouTube. We made it a couple years ago, but it's great. It's one of my favorite things I ever did. And like I said, we pretty much improvised the whole thing. He told us where to be and where to get, but other than that, he left me and one other actor, Frank, essentially to get there on our own, and it was very freeing, good first experience with the acting world. So it's on YouTube. I'm going to link to it, so you should watch that. But Matt, he directed it, and he is, my friend lives in Denver, Colorado now, and he is doing his thing out there, but he's driving Uber as a side gig, and he's got a lot of interesting stuff to say. He's having as you can probably imagine, a weird time doing that in a city during this whole crisis, and there's a lot of uncertainty there. So listen to his story and our conversation. It's good, and Matt's awesome, and yeah, and if you want to be on this podcast and talk about your quarantine, you should, because I want to talk to you too. And, you know, Matt was nice enough to reach out to me. I'm not going to go out and try to find you, but, like, I'm going to say yes if you reach out. So you should. On the Thealoneavirus Podcast on Instagram, or I think it's thealoneaviruspodcast@gmail.com, but do that. You know, let's talk. I got some extra time, so we can, I want to learn what people are doing and how people are dealing, and, you know, that's kind of what this podcast has become. So get in touch with me and check out me and Matt talking about quarantine in Denver and other stuff, and watch our movie. All right.
All right, thanks. And this is the Aloneavirus podcast here with my friend Matt. Matt, it's
How's
awesome
it
to
going?
see you. It's good to see you, man.
How's it going, Jordan? Good to see you, man.
It's good. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. It's thanks for having me. I'm a huge fan of the Aloneavirus podcast. So
You're the
I had,
first person to ever say that.
well, I'm the biggest fan then. But no, I actually do think it's really cool that you're doing a podcast, because I think it's a great way to like spend time and connect with people and your friends and stuff, and talk about, and especially I think you do have experience in this, in the virology, or what was your degree was
Public health.
yeah, public health. So you have a lot of experience like in this topic. So I think it's like something you're passionate about too, because you see a lot of people, especially on Facebook, posting a lot of stuff, and it's cool that you're like kind of putting out the info. So thanks for having me. But it's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I appreciate anybody that listens to this. And you're right. Like it's been hard because I know that I have a background in this stuff, and then I see a lot of people just like vomiting bullshit information on the internet, and I'm just like, I gotta say stuff. Like this is where I have to speak up.
Especially when even like big sources are putting out just it's like clickbait articles, and they're just scaring the shit out of people. Can I curse? Is it okay if I curse, or
you're not cursing enough, actually?
Okay, good. I don't know your beliefs. No, I'm kidding. But
I'm wearing a free the
Pope. You look pretty Catholic.
I am. Yes.
That's good. So, but like the World Health Organization, like, or even just like the CDC, it's like there's just a lot of confusion, and I think the messages they put out, especially with like wearing a mask, and I think. I also think kind of one of the topics I want to ask you about is just like wearing a mask, and why are so many people not wearing a mask, do you think? Like in your opinion, because I see so many people just not wearing a mask.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, and like people get confusing information. Well, confusing information and conflicting information from sources like the World Health Organization or the CDC, but it's only conflicting because science it builds upon itself, right? And like you base your conclusions on the information that you have at any given time, and then as you get more information, as a scientist, you should be willing to say, I was wrong. This is what we know now. Whereas most people are like, okay, this is the info. This is what I'm sticking to. Like I heard no mask. But like there's new evidence every minute, especially with something like this, a brand new virus that we don't know anything about. We're still learning about. It's like what we knew yesterday may have been totally off, like, or the conclusions that we drew from the evidence that we had yesterday may be totally wrong now. And we have better information, and we need to be willing to backpedal, like remove your ego or whatever, and just be like, okay, like the decision I made yesterday seems, given today's information, to be wrong. So maybe I should wear a mask. And why people don't wear a mask, I think there are a bunch of arguments that I truly don't understand. Like the political side of things is like, the whole like my body, my freedom, which like you're hearing from fucking Republican dudes now.
That's ironic, isn't it? Yeah, that's really
so ironic.
It's weird. It's weird. Yeah. I saw a lot of the protesting in Denver, and a lot of that stuff.
Right. So I didn't mention that on the podcast. You are in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah. Yep.
And
in Denver.
been there throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, but so I moved here like last July, but I've been here when it started, and then also just saw a lot of, just drove by a lot of the protesters, like a lot of the pictures that were in like the mainstream media, like were of Denver, and a lot of people like with signs and just not wearing masks and just protesting.
So you saw that?
Yeah, I drove by it. Like I was like driving Uber, and I was driving my car, and I just drove by the state building a bunch of times, and they're, I saw him a few times, and then I was with my brother and we saw him, and yeah, so it's that was pretty interesting to see. But again, it's, like what you were saying about masks, it's just crazy to me to see people in public, especially like even people that work at restaurants. And um I think a lot of restaurants do like make their workers wear masks, and I'm seeing it more and more. But there's like a lot of places where, like you see, or just they're not wearing a mask or anything like that, or even just people on the street. So it's more so I'm not like, it does kind of annoy me, because it's like how hard is it to make your own mask? Even just wear a bandana, or like even like a cloth or something. So, but it at the same time, it makes me wonder. It's like, yeah, maybe people just don't know that they need to wear a mask, or they need to know what, because like that's the thing, is like, it's like, are they getting the information out to the public in an effective way where they know what to do? And it's almost like I'm kind of questioning whether they're doing that. It's hard to tell whether they're doing that like correctly or not.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me that the information is there that people should be wearing masks, but I don't know what is available to everyone else. I'm sorry, cat.
That's awesome. That was great.
What was I going to say? But to me, a mask has become almost like symbolic. Like, yes, you do get protection from it, and you do protect other people by wearing a mask, but it's almost like a symbol that people are taking it seriously. Like, I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, it kind of, I don't, it just kind of bothers me when I'm out in public and I see people not wearing a mask. I'm like, what, why not? Like, if you're not around people and you live in the mountains or whatever, you live in the country, like, sure, don't wear, but like, if you live in a city, you should probably be wearing a mask when you go out at all times. Like, and Uber is actually like making like every rider and driver like wear a mask. Like they if you're a driver, you have to wear a mask, but like if you're a rider, if you're taking a ride, you're gonna have to wear a mask pretty soon, I think. So I'm not sure if that's completely true. I saw it on CNN. So, but it seems like they're actually like going to like make people do that. So it seems to me like a lot of like the restaurants and just like, like businesses are going to make their employees like and customers wear a mask. So I don't know. I think that's like going to start happening soon too. At least with certain places. I'm not sure. Again, there's a lot of places that probably won't, do that at all either. But
So, well, I have a lot of questions for you about Uber. And I guess I have some understanding about it because I used to do that job when I was in Philly. And
yeah.
so I get what it's like. And so at this point, are you working in a mask?
Yeah, I always wear a mask. I have it. I don't wear it when I drive. Like when I'm driving other people, I have it on at all times. But when there's no one in my car and I'm just delivering food, I put the food in like a zipped up bag. It's like sealed away, so it's not like just out. And then I don't wear my mask when I'm driving because I think that's a little overkill. But when I like deliver food or whatever, I like put my mask on, and just whenever I know I'm like basically getting out of my car, I put my mask on. I'm pretty sure Uber like requires you to do that. So it's also like, I don't want to, it's a requirement. I don't want to like, have someone complain or whatever. But I mean, it's also at the same time, I understand the importance of wearing a mask. So I would probably do it even if they didn't require it. But just because again, it's like, it's just kind of the thing I was saying before. It's like, it's really not hard to make your own mask. Like you can just look up a YouTube video. It takes you like a minute to get 2 rubber bands and like any, so it's really easy to make. So, but yeah, I always try and wear a mask when I'm doing that for sure.
And I in LA, I was doing the food delivery thing too. So I thought about like, if I were there right now and all that's still like, those jobs aren't shut down, obviously. and I would probably be doing that, for money. And I was trying to think what that would be like. Are you worried going into restaurants and like interacting with people all the time?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like, it's something right now I kind of have to do just to pay some bills and stuff and do that. But, um, yeah, I mean, going into a restaurant, I do kind of think like, I really hope they like, they've cleaned stuff. I think most restaurants are really good, especially in Denver. A lot of the places I go to are I can tell they really kind of care about like cleaning surfaces and stuff like that. And again, I'm not going to say a lot, but some of the restaurants I go to, the workers are wearing masks and stuff like that. And, but I, I think I'm more worried about people getting in my car without a mask. Like the deliveries aren't that bad because I have like, um, I make it, I just really don't touch my face or anything. And then I do have like Clorox wipes in my car. But again, like the thing that does like make me worry is just people getting in my car without a mask. Like that's like, I'm just kind of like, you get like a fare, like when you probably know this, like when you pick up people, um, I don't know, it's like as soon as you get the fare, you see it on your phone, you pull up to the person, but now it's like, there's like an extra layer of like, oh, like, are they wearing a mask? Oh, they're not wearing a mask. And then it's like, I mean, it's, again, because like I had this one lady in my car and I picked her up from work and I dropped her off at home and she was coughing and I was legit like, oh shit, not without a mask. And I literally pulled over and I got out like all my Clorox wipes and I just like panic cleaned my car. I bet people thought I like was like freaking out or something, but it was, I had to, because I was like, I gotta make sure, just for the next person too, as well. I was like, you gotta, clean it constantly. So that's like, that's like something I am kind of worried about, more so with passengers, but I don't, because and I'm like rambling on, but I think restaurant workers, I don't think they're, like, I think they're more keen on like noticing their symptoms if they're sick and not coming to work, like hopefully because like with passengers, it's just kind of everyday people like doing that. So
Yeah, I think people in restaurants are already sort of in tune with that, just because you had to be anyway, like because you're giving food out to people. So if you have a cold, like you don't want to infect everybody that comes to eat. Like,
yeah, definitely. No, exactly. Like that's the thing. And hopefully you can hope that, I think I mean, but I think you're totally right. Is like managers and, people that own restaurants, like they're really, really hopefully taking the measures, necessary to really like protect like their workers as well. So, um, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's just like something, it's it's just interesting how it's changed like everyday social interactions too. Like even like at an Uber, it's like you just don't really talk as much, because if people both have masks, like it's kind of hard to hear the other person. So it's like there's not as much conversation, and it's just kind of like, because usually I'm a pretty talkative guy. I want to like talk to people, and I want to if they're willing to talk or whatever, then they're social. But just to have conversation and make it a little more like interesting or whatever. And but now it's just kind of like no one really, not if a person has a mask, like there's really not a lot of conversation. It's just kind of like, I can't really hear what you're saying. It's all it's like Charlie Brown's parents or whatever. So um but yeah, it's crazy stuff.
are you working like at a level of nervousness every day? Like, is there just anxiety built into work now?
uh Not really. I think when I pick up a passenger, like it's kind of in the back of my head. It's not like constant anxiety, because it's more so like, I have to do this, like to, like right now I kind of have to do it, just because a lot of the, um, especially in like video production, I think a lot of people aren't really going to like, especially right now, it's just kind of dry in the industry. Like not a lot of people are going out and, wanting to shoot stuff. So right now I'm kind of, just doing Uber, and I don't mind doing it. A lot of people are really, really nice in Denver. It's not like people are, crazy. But a lot of people most people are really, really nice, and, not, like, it's not difficult. But again, it's in the back of my head of like, well, if this person has coronavirus, I did take this one guy to a hospital. That was like, and I didn't want to ask him like, hey, why are you going to the hospital? Like, I was like, that's a weird question to ask someone. So I was like, oh shit, does he have coronavirus too? Let me turn my phone off. Sorry about that. But yeah, so it's in the back of my head of like, okay, do they have coronavirus? If they are wearing a mask, I'm like, it does ease my, like, it really like relaxes me, because it's like, well, they're, if they cough, like it's like the chances of me getting it are, it's not like the ideal situation, whatever. I don't want to like do that, but if they do cough or sneeze, and again, it's just like if someone coughs and sneezes without a mask in your car, it's like, especially now, it's like, oh God. But now before this happened, you wouldn't really think about it, but now it's like a cough or a sneeze is like an alarm bell. It's like, oh
Yeah,
shit.
and I mean, you're in like a small closed area sometimes for like a half hour or whatever.
30 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, that's
exactly.
it's kind of a lot of time. It's not just like walking past somebody on the street without a mask. It's like, but do you have like discretionary power to be like, if you're not wearing a mask, like I don't want to drive you, no offense?
Now, well, hopefully soon. Like, I feel like now if I did that, I would get in trouble, because it's not like a policy or whatever. So, but when they make it like a policy, it's like, hey, you have to wear a mask to ride. I probably will be able to refuse people, which is, I will say, like, that's actually pretty cool. Like, it's good that Uber is doing that. Hopefully, like, I really hope they actually implement that policy that I was kind of talking about. But that would be like pretty cool. But if they do that, like, that would really like be I would be able to say like, hey, if you don't have a mask, I can't really give you a ride. But I think it's yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where, again, it's like I really, it just kind of like relaxes me. It's like to see a person have a mask, and it's like, again, if you're like just going out, and especially in an Uber, just wear a mask, like just wear a bandana or do something, or at least put a sweatshirt around your face, or like even like a scarf. That's better than nothing,
Make it look like you care.
Even if you cough or sneeze into a scarf, it's not going to spread. It's, even a bandana, just really, I don't know. It's just like it's like a 2-minute thing. If you did, people, I don't know. I wish, and again, it's just like an interesting thing that it's that people are like, talking about or whatever, is, wearing a mask.
Are rides down in general?
Yeah, there's definitely well, actually, I would say now a lot of people are going out and doing stuff, and I feel like my face, this is blocking my face, but like a lot of people are still like going out or for rides and still ordering Ubers, especially now, just because a lot of people are kind of probably sick of being quarantined, and it's almost like, I think they're at a point where like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. So a lot of people are like going out and doing like social stuff and just like going to people's houses and stuff like that. Especially in Denver, I've noticed it. It's just in my like driving experience, I've like taken people and they've been like, oh yeah, I'm going to my friend's house, or, and just like doing stuff like that. And it's like, oh, well, like, so, just traveling. But the other thing that was like, food deliveries are like triple or double, I don't know whatever the statistic is, but it's like so many people are probably ordering food just because they're at home, and you can't go to a restaurant. So it's like, if you have a favorite restaurant you used to go to, or a lot of people are like ordering from restaurants and stuff like that. So
are you able to just do the food delivery if you wanted to?
No. So unless I'm doing Uber wrong or doing the app wrong, I haven't found a way to like to only do Uber Eats, like the food deliveries. And I contacted Uber about it, and they like just didn't respond because it's Uber. So I've still been trying to contact them kind of like constantly, and it's like, but I really haven't heard anything back of like how to change it.
Well, you would
So-
want to do that if you could.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I would not want, I don't want, like, it's kind of something I have to, when I first got it, I was like, oh, like, why is it doing it? I thought it was like a glitch or something, but then I kind of realized it's like, I think it's just like the function of the app is they're kind of like, they're just giving you regular rides, and then just giving you like food deliveries at like the dinner rush or whatever. I mean, I don't know. It's, again, it's like I think right now with rides, again, I've gotten into a routine where I'm not like constantly scared of it. But if I did have that choice, I would probably choose like food deliveries. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It's at the same time, I will say I'm glad I do have like a side gig like that to just make some money on the side, because I kind of would be. I wouldn't be making a ton of money without that, and it really helps like out a lot. So
Yeah, man. I just got my Trump check today, actually.
nice.
So that's different. But I've been trying to figure out ways. I thought about doing DoorDash in around Scranton, where I am right now, and
Yeah.
man, I got some weird job writing ebooks, ghostwriting
Nice.
ebooks. But
That's
like
awesome.
the pay is terrible. Like,
But what's the first ebook you had to write?
I'm still writing it. It's 20,000 words, under the pen name Betty Fullerton, and it's about Reiki. Yeah,
That's awesome. You got to keep doing that. That's just good. As weird as this sounds, it's actually a really good experience because it's
good
forcing
writing.
it's forcing you to write, like a shit ton of just whatever it's about. I mean, even if you're not interested or what, you're still writing a ton every day, the name is awesome too. You should get a shirt that says Betty.
I'm Betty Fullerton.
I am Betty. I am Betty Fullerton. Just with like an old lady's face on it.
I don't know if I'm gonna do another one. It might not be worth the time, but like I've been trying to find weird freelance jobs. I'm trying to find like podcast editing jobs because like I've kind of gotten into a routine with that where I can.
No, you're good at it. You're for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a lot of those sites. I always have a problem with all those like Upwork and
Yeah, that's what I'm on.
people are like, hey, I'll give you $5 to do like 3 days of like eight constant work or whatever, and it's like I don't know, but at the same time it's remote, so you should just keep making your own stuff and get sponsors, dude. Get a sponsor.
I'm trying to just do as much as I can, but we'll see what happens. Let's take a minute to let's do some plugs. If anybody out there needs their podcast edited, hit me up. If anybody out there needs their video
sponsor the podcast. If you have a brand or a business, this is a great podcast. Sponsor it.
And you're looking for video, like video editing, post-production stuff?
Yeah, like video production, photography, graphic design. Hit me up.
Matt's the man. And also, can I promote our film?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Do you want to talk? Just say a little, like, explain it, like a sentence about it, I guess, just because.
Well, I just want to let people know
just
that people can watch it on Amazon.
Totally.
On Amazon Prime, right?
Oh, it's on YouTube as well. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you tell them where to find it, and I'll.
Yeah, I was in film school. We did a short film together. That's how I met Jordan. It's on YouTube right now. We can send the link or put the
I'll
link
put it in
somewhere.
the description. Yeah.
Okay, word. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
And it's on YouTube and Amazon. It's called A God Amongst Men. You can probably just search that and find it.
Yeah, you can just search A God Amongst Men short film. It might just work better to click the link because it doesn't have too many views. So we gotta do it. It will now, but yeah, that was it's out now, and it's on again on YouTube, and we'll I'll send you the link and we can put it somewhere.
I'll find it.
So
Still one of my favorite projects I've ever done. Matt was the first person really to hire me on anything. So
it was fun, man. You did a great job. He's a great actor. No, for sure, you're a great actor, and it's Have you done a lot of acting? That's another question I wanted to ask you. Just like how has that affected your acting stuff, and with the pandemic, like has that affected you a lot? Like what are you up to with like casting and stuff like
sure.
that, or just auditions and all that?
So things were starting to. I was hitting a good stride in the fall. I got a couple of commercials and I did a feature film, and then so around like Christmas holidays, I took a month off, and then I went back to LA. And it's always just so hard to leave town and come back. I feel like you just lose momentum. People
Yeah.
forget you or whatever it is. Maybe it just feels like that for me, because it feels like I'm starting over every time. But it took like until February for me to book anything. And then it was just like small jobs, nothing crazy. And then I'm starting to like build momentum again. And then I'm booked for a series that I was going to do on Amazon, and a couple
Nice.
other
That's awesome.
jobs. And then it was just like, I got to make this decision to leave town. And I left. I didn't even say anything to anybody because I just made the decision so quickly. And as I'm on the road, I'm like at a hotel or like a motel, and I'm just saying on emails like, hey, I'm really sorry. I left town. And this was before there was any shutdown or anything. So people didn't know how bad it was going to get. I emailed my agent. I was like, hey, I think this is going to be a big deal. Like, I left town. And she's just like, she emails me back, no, business as usual over here. And I'm just like, well, I think there's going to be a change. And then like a week later, the entire city was shut down. So I was just kind of like, I felt validated in my decision.
I'm not sure if I asked you this before, but so like, what kind of made you like what event or thing like you saw like made you want to just go back to Pennsylvania and just like get on the road?
It's a good question.
Because it seems to me like you kind of you did that way before the shutdown, and a lot of things started to close.
That's a good question. So I was at work. My friends, I have like a group chat with my high school friends, and someone sent out this article, and this was when things were starting to get really bad in Italy, which was like 2 weeks before us, pretty much. And it was that article that was written anonymously by a doctor in northern Italy, and it was basically like that doctor was talking about her experience and how she had to choose like who gets to get on the limited amount of ventilators that they had, and basically like who gets to live and who gets to die.
It's like triage, isn't it what they call it? Yeah, like triage.
Right. Essentially. I don't know if at that level it's called that, but yes, like it's that works. And then she was talking about like an otherwise healthy 40-year-old woman who's getting put on a ventilator for this virus. And that was when it kind of clicked for me, like, okay, this isn't just like a thing that's going to affect older people. Like, this is something that we don't know anything about and is going to be way worse than we initially thought. Because up until that point, I was just like, well, it's probably just going to come and go and we'll be fine. And that was based on the information that I was given, and that was out there. But as soon as things started to change and younger, healthier people started to get sick, like really sick, then I knew that I didn't think that like I was personally in danger, but I knew that being in Los Angeles and like the reason I was there was to work in film, I knew that was going to go away for some amount of time. And there was going to be no reason for me to be in a big city like that. So I thought I was under the gun to get out of there and get home before the country shut down completely. I thought they were going to shut down travel and everything. And frankly, they should have at that point, but they didn't. So I was fine getting home, but I was constantly like looking in the rearview mirror, thinking there was going to be people like pulling me over, like, you can't be on the roads. And I was going to get stuck in like Ohio, which obviously, you know,
Don't want to get stuck there. No offense.
yeah, didn't come close to happening. I mean, but that was what was going on in my head. Like, this place is going to get shut down real quick.
That's
But
yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like, I mean, you made the right move by doing that, though. You know, because I bet a lot of people were like, "Dude's freaking out. He's crazy. Like, he's probably not crazy." But you know what I'm saying? Is a lot of people are like, "Oh, like, is a lot." I think just a lot of people had that feeling of like, "Oh, this isn't really going to be a huge thing. Like, this isn't going to, amount to anything." And thank God you kind of did that. You made the right move, in my opinion.
I'm happy that I did it. And then everybody I contacted, like I was saying, like, hey, I left town. I'm really sorry. I know we had a commitment.
And
But like,
they were saying business as usual.
for the first, my agent said business as usual, and then sent out an email a week later, like, things are changing. But everybody else, literally everybody else, was just like, I totally understand. And then I felt validated only a few days later when everything shut down anyway. And I'm like, okay, I made the right choice.
Yeah. No, again, and I mean, your agent had had the same thought as that almost everyone is. Oh, same as me. I thought the same thing. It's like, oh, this isn't going to be that bad. And then the thing that actually made me, again, when I saw that CNN thing I was talking about earlier of like the video of where the reporter has to escape Wuhan and he just like, he's taking video of the whole thing before they shut down the whole city. That made me worry a little bit, but I never had the thought of like, oh, this is actually going to come to America and affect, everyday life. I never really had that thought in my head, but I think a lot of people almost, again, it's like the same type of thinking. It's like, it's like, oh yeah, it's business as usual. But then a week later, it's like, oh my God, because it just happened so fast. So a lot of people had that thing. Sorry.
When did things start to change for you personally?
I think a huge thing that really made me just like really kind of realize like, oh, this is insane. I guess before this happened, I went to the grocery store and I bought a bunch of food just to kind of prep for it because I was hearing just kind of like talk about it and in articles and stuff about it. So I was like, well, I don't know how bad it's going to be, but I will go to the grocery store, buy some food. And then the NBA, they just like stopped mid game. And
Yeah.
that's crazy. That is insane. Like that's never happened before in the history of any, like, just to be like, hey, like stop the game, cancel everything. And then every sport got canceled. Another thing that really kind of made me was an alarm bell. I can't really remember whether this was before or after, but my brother lives in Chicago. One of my brothers lives in Chicago, and he was at work, and he called me and was like, "Hey, they just like canceled work. Like they told everyone to go home, and just basically just like work from home from like for the rest of the like time until we tell you to go back to work." And that was pretty wild just because, it's like, again, midday, just like during work, they tell you to go home. Like it's just eerie. It's like you get an eerie feeling of like, what's happening. And it's also the fear of like the unknown because no one really knows anything about this virus yet. I mean, a lot of, in terms of, and I guess a lot of people are, doing research, but I think more so what I mean is like, a lot of people just like the kind of in the public, just a lot of people don't really know like what to do about this virus, or just a lot of the just news about it. It's all just kind of mixed up. Like it's all in my eyes, it's like almost like there's so many just sources, and also it's just a lot of like political kind of turmoil going on in terms of like just just people being on one side and just going after the other side for all this, kind of the response for it. So it's just a lot of jumbled up stuff in the news and all that, I think, going on, in my opinion. So
Is it a jumble fuck? out there.
Yeah, exactly. So, um,
But I want to ask you, so you are our this podcast's expert on Colorado, I would say at the moment.
mhm.
What's it like out there? Like, I know Colorado's sort of in the movement of like, let's reopen, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the stay-at-home order expires this Friday.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of people are, again, I know when I drive Uber, a lot of people are like going out and doing stuff. I see a lot of people in parks. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are still out, in my opinion. I think at the same time, it's hard to tell because I also do notice there's a lot less traffic, but I have noticed it like picking it up, picking or like the just like rush hour is like getting a lot worse and traffic is like really, really picking up. So um I think what's happening now is people are just really getting sick of like being inside. Also, I think one of the other like main factors is it's getting really, really nice outside and people want to go out and hike and camp and, do like go to the mountains and do fun stuff in Colorado. Um, and I think a lot of people are just doing that regardless and, still going out. So, um, yeah, I mean, they're definitely not closing. They're definitely, not really like on the move to, keep closing anything, in my opinion. So,
I should
we'll
have looked
see.
this up, but do you know what numbers are like in Chicago? I mean, in Colorado.
Chicago, Colorado. But I mean, not as bad as like the epicenters, but in Denver, I mean, it is it is a major city. It's probably top 5 on the list, I would say. I have no idea. I'm saying that completely out of just guessing, but I would guess it's a major city, and but I really think they did a good job of closing down stuff when it happened. I read this article that they got a like the governor of Colorado got like an A+ from this like economics journal or something. I don't know the source. I'll have to send it to you or whatever, but it was like this economics journal and they gave him like an A+ for shutting down the state and like responding in a good way and stuff. So um I don't know, it's interesting because it's like, what about you? Is Pennsylvania like, because I feel like I don't have a gauge of other areas except like New York because it's just so in the news. Like I feel like the other areas aren't really like Scranton, Pennsylvania, so how is it out there? Like are they on the move to, keep closing stuff or?
So I feel like there is a lot of spillover from New York City here. Like Pennsylvania does have relatively high numbers, and also from Philly, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I appreciate what the governor, Tom Wolf, everything he's said. He's very evidence and science driven in his decisions. But all that being said, the stay-at-home order, I think, is still supposed to be lifted on the 15th, maybe something like that. But he's going through like phasing out the stay-at-home order by county. But man, people are just like, if I looked on his Instagram and he's just like, post like, we've got some like very generic, like we'll let the science determine our decisions or whatever. And people hate this dude because they're just like, open the state, like let's just get out there. It's nice out. Like I want to go outside. And I'm sure that's just everywhere, but I'm just looking at that. But I feel like there's a lot of like where I am right now, it's kind of Trump country. And I don't think people are taking it seriously, but it's almost not that big of a deal because there's nobody out here anyway. It's country. So
What do you think about that plan of county by county?
I don't think it
opinion
makes
on that?
sense. I think if I were to make the decision, it would be shut down the entire country for a shorter amount of time and then reopen, phase in a reopening countrywide when it's safe to do so. because like this whole staggering thing doesn't make sense because the virus doesn't respect borders.
Also, people don't respect borders because
Sure.
like if you're in a county in the United States, you don't have to have a passport to enter in another county.
Exactly.
It's also like counties aren't that big. If you're, you can drive a whole county in probably 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the size or like the whatever state you're in. So it's like people, that's what I was, when you said that the first, like when you said that, that plan or whatever, like the Tom Wolfe thing, it's like the first thing that comes into my head is like, well, people aren't going to respect, like no one really respects like county travel. That's just,
people live in one county, work in another.
Yeah, exactly. There's, it's so, because I travel to different counties every day just by driving Uber and stuff like, it's like everyone probably does. So yeah, I will say, I think it's like, it's like with all these politicians and it's just such a tough like issue to figure out a plan for, because I feel like no matter what, people are just completely getting like derailed and like, oh, like this is, a bad plan or just kind of getting shit on. But like, who do you think has out of politicians you've seen and kind of things you've seen in the news and like, just like, in the government, who's made like the best move in terms of like closing down their state or like, like a governor you've seen or even just any politician you've seen that you're like, hey, this is like the right approach because, again, it's like, they if they have the kind of example to like, to follow, like what would that be?
The governors that stand out obviously are Cuomo and what's the governor of California? Garcetti's the mayor of LA, but
Newsom, I think. Yeah.
But I think the politicians that are doing the best are the heads of Germany, Cuba, and South Korea handle it the best. Germany, they're Angela Merkel. What's her name? She's a chancellor or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
She's a physicist by training.
Yeah,
so she understands science and is backed by science and letting that drive the decisions. Also, New Zealand is doing very well. They're a small country and not very dense, but they've handled the situation extremely well. Cuba got probably the best healthcare system on the planet, though nobody wants to admit it. And they're already aiding other countries like they always do. They handle stuff like this very well. And and South Korea is, as most people know, got their first confirmed case the same exact day as the United States' first confirmed case, and they are almost completely wiped out of the virus. And look where we are. And it's hard to compare because the countries are so different.
So what did they do differently that made a difference?
They locked it down early. They did contact tracing, testing, all those things that any person in public health, any epidemiologist will say, like, oh, these are the 4 steps you need to take. You need to test everybody. You find your positive cases, you quarantine them, and then you do contact tracing for them and say, who did they come in contact with? You isolate those people. The virus has nowhere to go. Everybody else can essentially live their lives while, making smart decisions, and it's going to go away.
Yeah. I think like testing everyone, like it's like, especially now, like, do you know, like the statistics on testing, or are they testing a lot more people? Because it doesn't really seem like they're making a lot of tests. And it's also like, again, it's a lot of people to make tests for. It's a really hard like task to like test.
Yeah.
So
it's a big country.
That's like, yeah. So that's like another thing that I've been thinking about is like, how are they going to test everyone?
I mean, it's tough because you don't usually have a brand new disease where you need to get a brand new test and, deliver it to 350 million people or whatever. But, they are ramping up. I'm sort of only familiar with numbers from like New York City or New York State even, and they're ramping up testing. They're also doing more sampling of antibody testing to try to get an accurate understanding of the actual like penetrance of the virus like in the population. And they're up to, I think, 20% statewide, which is a pretty big number, which is good and bad, because if you look at it and so many people have already been exposed to it, and that brings the mortality rate way down. And it's also like we're that much closer to herd immunity, but it's also a bad thing because it shows that like we really don't have a handle on it, and it could,
Because it spreads so fast. Yeah.
yeah.
Have you thought about getting an antibody test?
Yeah, I tried to. Because I am pretty sure that I did have the virus. I was sick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was sick for like 3 weeks with like a fever and a sore throat that was awful and wouldn't go away, and it was just like a really weird thing.
When was that?
That was I flew from LA to Scranton at the end of February and then back at the beginning of March. And right after that trip, I got sick. And it wasn't ever sick enough to the point where like I couldn't function. I wasn't bedridden. I was just kind of like tired and felt shitty. But it went on for 3 weeks, and I was just like, this is my new normal.
Did you hear the story where, and like a lot of people in LA apparently got it like way early on in December? Do you think that's true? Like,
December?
do you think that's, yeah, like, 'cause I saw this, I think it was like a podcast, or it might've been a comedian just on YouTube or something. I don't even know who it was, but he was like, yeah, like I a lot of people were like sick in December, and, like could have gotten, or, then it could have like spread like before then. Do you think that's possible? Or do you think it's like, I mean,
I haven't seen any evidence of that. The first case that I know of is in January in this country, but what do I know?
yeah. Only because I feel like, and another thing I heard is like in San Francisco, like they found out someone got it way before than it was like initially reported. I think I saw that on like, it was like the BBC News. Like it was like they found out that the first, person they found in San Francisco to have it, there apparently was another person, or they had it like way before than it was like initially recorded, which is interesting just because it's like, I think it was spreading, earlier before we thought.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. And I think they are going back and testing samples from people that have died like earlier on. And because the actual disease itself is something that we're obviously still learning about. And, it started off as the flu, and then it became like a viral pneumonia. And now it's like, to me, presenting as like a blood disease, and it's causing strokes and blockages and stuff like that, and heart problems. And I think people that had heart attacks and heart issues back in like February are now being tested and testing positive for
Wow.
the virus.
I didn't know that at all, actually. That's wow, that's crazy. So do you think it's mutated, or what? Do you think that's just because they don't know about the virus?
I don't think mutation is not like what it's made out to be in movies. It's not like, oh, the virus like mutated and made a big left turn, and now like everyone run for the hills. Like,
I watched Contagion a few weeks ago, so all my knowledge and info is completely based on that movie, by the way.
Well, you also know that movies aren't real. You'd probably
no, I'm kidding. But I'm totally kidding.
I know.
But it's again, it's just interesting because they're finding out new stuff every day, and especially just like stuff they didn't know like way before. It's like, oh, this is, and again, what you said about it causing heart issues and strokes. I had no idea about that, actually. I'm definitely gonna look that up. That's crazy.
It's pretty scary. But so one thing I did want to say before I forget about mutation is like an easy way to think about it is, so if a mutation is more likely to make a virus less bad, because if you think about it, the mutations that make a virus more deadly are going to kill the people that have it more quickly. So the ones that make it like people able to live longer with it are going to spread further. So those are the ones that are going to dominate, right?
Because if it's like very if it's like really deadly, if it's like a really deadly virus, like it won't spread as much because it's just like killing the person instantly, or not instantly, but like very quickly.
Right.
So it's almost like, and it's also like the medical response is like, oh shit, like we have to, really like contain it. And yeah. And they're also probably not around. I mean, as weird as, they're just not around to spread it as well. Like they're not alive
Right.
to spread it.
Or they're very sick and not going to go anywhere. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or in a hospital bed, or yeah, that's really interesting. Again, it's what I kind of said before. It's like when I was saying, oh, it's all jumbled up mess. It's like a lot of people just don't know, and including me, about mutations and just things like that. I think it kind of like, it's a kind of like a wake up call for people to almost not research about viruses, but just understand how they spread, and it all ties in with wearing a mask. It's just like basic knowledge, allows you to understand how like important that is and stuff. So,
Well, I appreciate you saying this stuff, because most people are just like, I know all the answers, even though like they are.
I don't know shit. Yeah.
I don't know shit either.
I think a lot of people just need to say, hey, I mean, like even Fauci, I think he's such a great example. He's like, hey, I don't know. We don't know a lot about this. We're still learning about it. Like, and that's basically him saying, hey, we don't know shit about this. Like, we're still learning about it. Like, don't assume anything. Like, because I think it's like the most dangerous thing you can do is assume, especially with like viruses. Like, oh, I'll be fine. Like, I won't wear a mask. I don't need to wash my hands. Like, you never, like, I'd rather be the person who's on the way safe side, and like on the side of like caution, and like I'd rather be way, like just I'll it could be overkill, but I'll rather be on that side just to be safe and stuff. And I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I don't need to do that. But again, it's like they might just not know, is this the importance of, what I was saying before. So
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I personally, I think I might be a little extreme in saying this, but I would rather the entire country go broke and the economy fail before I would expose people to this virus that we know nothing about, because economies bounce back but dead people don't.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's yeah, exactly. Like it's a virus killing a lot of people is way worse than the economy failing. I mean, a lot of people would completely disagree with that, and it's also a really tough scenario because both things are very, very bad. So that's a tough scenario. But at the same time, I do agree with you. It's like, at what point do you put lives over making dollars? And it's interesting to me how a lot of politicians are just outright, and they're just like, hey, like we need to make money, and we need to restart the economy again, like whatever, who cares about this virus? But I think it's almost like if you don't really think about the virus and pay attention to the virus, it's just going to affect the economy in the long run. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And so it's almost like, well, either or you're kind of fucked. So I don't know. It's like, what are you going to do?
I agree. I saw someone post on, I think, Facebook this week. They said, there are more important things than living. And I was just like, I have no response for that.
Philosopher. What a philosopher.
Like, if that's how you feel, I guess.
That makes you just want to turn your computer off and just frisbee it out the window. Like, or just like, I think I saw you repost that or post, maybe it wasn't you, but I saw that on Facebook, and I saw that somewhere. And because I remember just having the same reaction of like, did you realize like what you just said? Like,
granted, I think the person was like, I'm grateful in this situation that I don't have kids or anything, because I think,
same as me. Thank God. Yeah.
Like it would be different.
It's hard. It's tough. It's really tough. It's tough. Yeah. It's a tough situation to have kids, and especially, be at home with them when you didn't have to. And also just like the economic strain, if you don't have a job. And yeah, I mean, like those people are, that's a really tough time for sure to have kids right now.
Yeah. And maybe
not for everyone.
Your kid's life is more important than your own life. on some level. Like I could maybe agree with that. I don't know.
Oh, totally. I think a lot of people view it that way. I think yeah.
All right, Matt, I'm going to get into the questions that I ask everybody.
Definitely.
All right. So you can answer these however you want, and they may or may not be relevant to you. You can just say whatever you want or nothing. But they're the same questions for everybody. So if you were not in quarantine right now, what would you be doing?
Definitely like hiking or camping, because I when I first moved out here, I didn't do that too much. And I was like, oh, next summer I'm going to be outside and like, be doing outdoor activities and stuff like that. So a lot of the state parks are closed and like everything is closed, as everyone knows. So that was definitely on my list, and just going out into like nature and, not having to worry about like cops or, being like questioning you why you're out in like a state park or something like that. So
cool. What good do you think is going to come out of all of this?
I think people, I'm speaking for myself, is like people are going to just do more and, try and just get out more and do more stuff when this ends, and actually try and like do stuff that they dream about or do stuff they've always wanted to do, whether it's like be an artist or be a stand-up comedian or, be a filmmaker. Like I personally want to get out and like make some movies and shoot some stuff. And I've always kind of wanted to do that, but I was kind of putting it off. So I really want to, get out and do that. But I think people like will really try and just do more stuff and, actually like do what they wanted to do before, and not wait, because it's a wake up call, because it's like, hey, like life is short. I say that to myself like all the time. Life is short. Like you gotta like do it now, and like just go ahead and do it, because if you wait too long, you don't know. Like you could, again, coronavirus is like a reminder. It's like it's possible to get it. People have died. Like it's a, a stark reminder. It's like, get out and, go do what you want to do.
I like that answer. I just thought of a really bad joke. I'm going to skip it.
No, God, you can't just say that. Just cut it out.
Okay. Stark reminder. Is that a Game of Thrones reference or? Anyway, I do look forward to the films that you.
Yeah, you got to come out to Denver. You got to come out to Denver. If you
I would
can.
love to.
Yeah.
Also, LA is becoming the epicenter of filmmaking. I don't know if you realize that.
I haven't heard that. Hollywood.
Hollywood, yeah. It's
what's this new thing?
It's the next big thing.
Is that Edison's thing? I think Edison has created that, or no?
That's a light bulb.
His henchman did. His henchman. You've heard that story, right?
No.
Like basically, to sum it up, like Edison is the reason there's Hollywood, because he had such a control over the movie industry when the movie camera like first came out. So like he controlled every production. So the people that wanted to get away from his, grasp and his control moved to LA and founded Universal, Paramount, and Warner Brothers, I think. I might be completely wrong with the names of those production companies, but yeah, so Edison actually was responsible, because he was such an asshole that like a lot of people were just like, oh, let's get away. Let's go out. And also it was like the daylight, because or the sunlight, because you can shoot, year round. And so
it is nice.
Random fact. I don't know why.
I like picturing people having this idea to move to LA with a light bulb going off, like the idea, but the
They're
light
like,
bulb
oh no, get away. Oh,
yeah.
Fuck that guy.
I can't get away from Edison.
God.
Okay. What is your biggest fear coming out of all of this?
I definitely think the economy, because the economy definitely affects, is going to affect my business a lot. I think when you say coming out of this, it's like, do you mean like when it's completely done? Or because I'm always worried about my health. I think I don't want to be like, oh, I'm worried about the economy more than my health, because of course I'm worried about, getting coronavirus and you know, and also just other people and, you know, family members and just, you know, even just the community. And so I'm that's something I'm most worried about in terms of just like getting it. But and if you mean in terms of like we're completely scot-free and, you know, cases are going away, I think it definitely has lasting impacts on the economy because it's, you know, a lot of debt and um, just ramifications on the, you know, just just every industry. I mean, it's affected every single industry if you think about it. So that's definitely something I think about. Just, and it's also just like people talking in the news and economists of just saying like, oh, this is going to really hurt the economy. So
Yeah. Cool. And the final question, which is the wording, I think has changed, but however you want to answer it. How long do you think you personally could continue with this quarantine, or like, are you at your wit's end? Are you ready to get back to normal tomorrow, or like, are you thriving and could ride it out?
I mean, in the past few weeks, like I have been driving Uber, so I will say that's probably not like quarantining. Just because I've had to do that just to make money and stuff, especially like right now. But when this first started, I did quarantine myself. But it's really, I don't know. I hate quarantine. It's tough to be in, you know, inside all day and especially in like an apartment. And, you know, if you're single, it's also tough, but it's like, it's sorry, what was the question? It's how long you can last during
Like,
quarantine.
are you ready to get to be done with this, or can you
Oh
ride
yeah,
it?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, but you know, it's like again, quarantine sucks. I was kind of so sick of it, and yeah, I'm just ready for. Um, I'm just excited for like public things to open up again. Hopefully, I probably won't be going to any public events in like a few months, just for my personal like. I don't think that's a good idea for me personally. Like, I'm definitely not trying to fly, like go to an airport. Um, you know, or do anything like that. But or even just, but the thing I do miss is like going to like concerts or, you know, just going to like bars and restaurants, like stuff like that. So that's something I'm definitely like probably most excited about. And again, you know, as I said before, just like going outdoors and going to um, like state parks and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's, I think you're really seeing now a lot of people are just sick of being inside, and it's starting to get nice out. So a lot of people just want to go outside and, you know, get exercise and camp and stuff like that. So
For sure. Yeah, I miss going to restaurants too. I realized.
yeah, what are you most excited about? That's a really good question.
I just want to work again. Like, I like acting, and I think that industry is going to be different for a while
Nice.
because, you know, the smallest crews are 10 people. So
Yeah, it's also just like also the other thing, I can't believe I didn't say this, is actually the thing I do miss most is going to a movie theater.
mm,
Is like just going to a movie theater. So it's for me, it's like just one of my favorite things to do. I'm just, you know, I was such a movie nerd, and um, just seeing movies in the theater is such a different experience. I actually do miss that most for sure, because it's also just like, what is that going to be like after quarantine? Is that going to it's probably not going to exist for much longer if you think about it.
uh
Maybe not,
I
who
don't
knows,
know,
but
not safely. I mean, it's going to be weird for a while, I think.
yeah.
Um but that covers my questions and my several pages of notes. Is there anything else that you
Nice.
want to talk about?
I just have one last question, is like, what do you think about flying? What's your opinion on flying? Just your personal opinion. I'm just curious.
I never liked it in the first place, so that doesn't help. But it's
Made your arms tired, right?
oh yeah, um I mean, I was bothered by the whole like circulated, like everybody breathing the same circulated air thing already. You know, I don't, that's only gotten worse. I'm going to avoid it as much as possible. I know flights are pretty empty right now anyway, so it's like, it's probably relatively safe, but as soon as people like get comfortable and start going out again, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be around all those people touching the same stuff, breathing the same air. Like, it's until everybody's like safe and vaccinated and this thing is not a problem like it is now, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I'm in the same spot. It's definitely like everything, especially the circulated air. It's like, well, that can't be a good idea, but
No.
it's wild. I don't think people are going to be flying for a really long time. So, but thanks so much for having me on, man. This is
this was really fun, man.
Yeah, great conversation. Great seeing you and great talking to you. And stay safe and don't get coronavirus.
I like how you're closing this one out. This is great. less I have to do. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out, and it's good to talk to you again.
Nice, man.
Stay in touch. Hope
Thanks
everybody
so
watches your film that I'm in that I love.
It was awesome. You did a great job.
You did a great job.
You're a great actor. You gotta, I can't wait to see. You gotta send me all your stuff when you said you're in a feature, right? That you had a feature coming out.
Yeah. We
Nice.
filmed. I filmed one up in Canada in November.
Oh, really? Nice. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. You got to send that to me if it when it comes out, or if there's like a online link.
I will.
But thanks so much. Also, you got to just get a sponsor. Get sponsored by the CDC, or
Easier said than done.
Get sponsored by Fauci.
That's what I need. I need a big get like Fauci on here.
Bill Gates. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Don't get microchipped though. All right. Well.
All right. Take care.
I'm gonna turn off the recording on that note.
Spent too much time in California. Now I'm in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.